Welcome to the Master Your Genius podcast with Keith Cornies. Listen in and learn as he coaches entrepreneurs to master their genius. Here's your host, Coach Keith.
Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Coach Keith, and this is the Master Your Genius podcast. We're doing episode 14 with Leah Bach. Leah Bach is a 5-year long-term client with me. We've been meeting weekly. There's been some great growth in her business. We talk about working hard is more important than talent. We talk about being responsible in your community, giving back to your community, how working in her community had grown her business to where she is one of the top producing realtors, where she accomplished 90 plus transactions last year while taking 2 semesters of courses at university. A working machine. We talk about systems. We talk about amazing things, but most of all, how her journey to being congruent with herself has allowed her the success and allowed her the life that she lives. And she talks about a vacation she takes, which is really powerful as well. So have a great listen. Enjoy. All right, everybody, here we are. I'm with Leah Bach, episode 14.
So exciting.
I'm excited for people to meet you, to be honest.
That's kind.
Because I brag about you all the time.
Yeah, I've heard. People have been phoning.
Exactly. Well, you know, the thing is the podcast is all about mastering your genius. We've been working together for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And the journey's been great. And
it's
now,
been awesome.
And here we are. If people want to measure that success, they would want to see something. So we can tell them that you did how many transactions in 1 year?
Oh, back in 5 years ago?
No, today. How many did you do?
Oh, so far this year, or no, you mean 2020? Yeah. I think I did over 90 last year.
Over 90 transactions.
Yeah.
And that's a team of how many licensed agents?
One only licensed agent.
Yeah, you.
Yeah, me.
Right, which is amazing. So when the people out there are listening, they're going to want to know how that was, and we're going to talk to them about why you're good. And what was and you said it was really cool. Like, Leah you're very specific and detail oriented, which
Yes.
I love. And you're like, what are we going to be talking about today? And I'm like,
Stop.
And then you write a sign on the way in. There's a church here that has a great sign, and the sign said
that you don't need to be talented to be good.
Right. So what we want to talk about is, today we'll talk about drive, we'll talk about work, we'll talk about systems, we'll talk
Sure.
about, and then the other part of it is we want to talk about some of the life stuff, because I know that you've become really strong as a person, which has really impacted you to get to the 90 ends.
For sure.
Right.
Couldn't do it without having a whole life that's, maybe to use a trite term, but balanced.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we like to use harmony.
Yes.
Coach Keith doesn't like balance because it's impossible to have an equal balance, because work takes up 8 hours of our life. We sleep for 8, and then we got to fit everything in the other 8,
Sure.
which you do because we do the life wheel, et cetera, which we can get to, but most people
Sure.
know about that already. All right, so why don't we just kind of give a small intro here. So you've been a realtor for 15 years, top producing realtor.
Yeah.
You're really high up, ranked, number 1, number 2, wherever you are. Really well esteemed in your workplace by the people that watch your work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
And you're part of the Rotary, you give to the community, you do a lot of really great things, community orientated.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's important for someone in, like, an entrepreneur in any business? It's important to be in the community, or a realtor, but why do you think that's important?
Well, I think that as an industry, a lot of people always talk about the money and what do we do about how to make the money, and that we're scumbags and lowlifes because it's always about the money. And I want to make money. I want to get paid. Let's not fool ourselves. But because I get paid so much money as well, I always feel that I want to be seen and to be known as a contributor to society. And to do that, I roll my work into my contribution to other people, because I believe that giving back is super important, and not in a way that's seen or,
Yeah, it's not like, look at me, I'm giving back.
Right.
Selfie of me giving money to the charity. It's more of you do it from...
I'll tell you what the difference is. I go to the events, right? I show up.
Yeah.
And so it's not that I just write the check.
Well, and you actually take over and organize them so they're successful, because nobody can do it like you, because part of your previous life's work was a supply chain management international company, right?
Yeah.
Talk about details.
Yeah, and so in supply chain, and I started in supply chain basically when I was 18 years old. And I worked right through until I was the international chair of Purchasing Managers of Canada, sat on an international board, rewrote their education program, wrote their ethics program, rebranded the name of the company, the name of the organization. So in all of that, the work itself is focused on anticipating and preventing problems.
So we get back to charity. Some of the things that you do are your shred-a-thons.
Yeah.
And then you also do something which people don't really understand as giving back, but you facilitate garage sales for certain areas that you do a lot of marketing to.
Yeah.
And you do that because, and I'll never forget, you told me the story about the guy that had the table and called you over and wanted to talk to you, the old fella.
I don't remember.
Yeah, and he's like, why are you doing this? This is so great that you're doing this for us, and it's so excellent. And then you gather funds for the charities.
Yes. Yeah.
And the charity, one of the things we talked about was because you like to be local, you wanted to have a local charity.
Yes, which was the Ride to Survive was one of my biggest, because I love them because one, they're from my neighborhood. I walk dogs with their board of directors, and for me, they raise money and give 100% of their proceeds to cancer research. They don't have an administration fee. Everything that they get, the riders have to come up with their own money to ride. They have to pay their own costs. Then they have to donate money, and I donate money, and then they go on this amazing ride, and they have this big celebration afterwards. And I just think it's so nice not to have an admin fee.
So what do you think this contribution to your community, why do you think that's successful for your business when you're not actually promoting your business? You're not out there like Leah Bach, realtor does this, Leah Bach, you just show up, you arrange these things, you do put your tent up, and you do sponsor the event and things like that, which is awesome.
It pays some of the expenses,
yeah,
for sure.
It's kind of in a not a silent way, but not a loud way.
Yeah.
And yet it's really impacted you, like when you supported the small businesses through Christmas and your social media, your TikTok, all that great stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's different because I see other people do businesses, and I get it. They want to be seen as a contributor as well and to support small business. We should support small business, but these people become my friends. It's not just a conversation of, hey, look at this florist. That florist is my friend, and she sells flowers to lots of real estate
Let's talk about that too, because I do know that you like to be friends with your clients, and I know that some realtors don't like that.
Yeah.
The number one thing I realize that realtors don't like that is because if they become a friend, they have to treat them as a friend. And then when they finish the relationship, the transactional relationship, they don't want to feel obligated to that friendship, yet you have no problem with that. And that is a big part of your business, is creating that strong relationship based on that.
Yeah, almost everyone I've ever worked with wants to stay in touch. And that's...
Is it because you're funny?
Yeah. Well, I do think I'm funny, but I also care very greatly. I'm also very loyal to people. I say that even in my listing presentation, most likely at the end of this transaction, you're going to say that you're going to miss me if you don't talk to me as often as we've been speaking to each other. And my repeat business, I've had clients in 15 years that have already done like 5 transactions with me. They moved into the neighborhood, they had children, they bought the next house. Those people are coming back already, and that's what I want. I contribute to my community. I love the people that I work with. I value them. They do pay me for the work. I'm not a volunteer. And then I continue to stay in touch with them.
So let's follow that food chain for a bit there.
Sure.
So value.
Value is everything.
It's everything, right?
Yeah.
Because we measure things in a hierarchy of value. But one of the things that's the strongest thing is devaluing our own selves. So if I compare myself and think people think like I think, I'm comparing myself to them thinking it's not special. But the truth is, as an individual, our unique value that we bring to the table, our gifts, what you do, when you believe in your value like you do, and when we started, that was a journey to get there.
Well, for sure, because I remember when I was first starting this career, and I started part-time, like a lot of agents do, and I did that for more than the first 7 years of my career, that I basically ran a full-time job and another full-time job, because I was on Medallion within a few years of being licensed.
Which for the people out there that might be listening, that's the top 10% of the industry.
Top 10% of the industry. And so the value for me was I felt a little guilty when I first started about how much money I was making, and I was wondering if I was providing enough value. And so very early on, I decided that I would provide value where people would look at me and say, that was worth every goddamn penny.
Right.
And
So
I enjoyed the ride.
Yeah.
Right? Because I want the two things together. I want you to pay me, and I want you to know that you got value for your money, and I want you to enjoy yourself as much as you can in the most stressful situation of your life outside of death, marriage, babies.
So now that, let's just say this. So I know that you have great marketing. I know that you have a really good team. What is your true value to the client?
My core value to my clients is undivided loyalty. I take full responsibility for the work that I provide them, and I really do care about them.
Right. So you are the value.
Yes,
right?
it's me entirely. Yes.
And your whole business is run on, I'm the value, I market me, I'm who you hire. What I do and how I do it is not necessarily why you're hiring. It's a great part of it, but really they're hiring you because why you do what you do.
Right.
And so you're the value.
Yeah.
So let's just shift this a little bit now, and let's kind of go into work ethic, tenacity, grit. Not only did you sell 90 plus homes last year,
Yeah.
but you also signed up and were studying university courses.
Yeah, went back to undergrad.
Right, and you took 5 full-time courses.
Five courses in 2 semesters.
Right.
So the fall semester I did 3 classes, and all of my grades are A+, B-, which is my goal. I'm probably not going to make honors, but
What's wrong with you?
I know I'm just
You
such a slacker.
You underachiever. So, there's a lot of people that'll be listening to this, and they're like, 90 transactions, that's amazing. And then there's this place in which, and you went to school, and you volunteered, and you ran your community, and you did your client events.
And I work out 4 times a week.
Right, with a trainer.
With a trainer, and I cook most of my own food. I don't do takeout and stuff. I can't eat like that.
And you come to see me once a week.
Yeah. And I see my kids.
And you see your kids.
Yeah. And then I have a social life.
Right. So there's a lot of people that I coach that come in and they have these excuses that they're so busy. And but when we're working hard and you're tenacious and you have grit and you're able to do this, right? So when did you realize you had this in your life?
I didn't think I understood what a prodigious producer I was. But it came to me as it started to become more evident that other people didn't do it. I believed everybody at face value. If you were on the medallion and you were on the individual list at the time, I'm a little naive. And sometimes I take people absolutely exactly at their word. So I'm looking and I'm going, wow, that's really impressive, wow. And then I find out it's 3 people on a team, and 5 people on a team, and 4 people on a team, and one's a silent guy. And, it's just, to me, it was like, all of a sudden I was like, wow, I really do produce at a high level. And of course I have help, I have administrative help, but I'm the only one showing the houses to my buyers, right? And handling my listing presentations and negotiations and everything with my clients. Right. So that's sort of when it all clunked.
Let's go to that structure, because I know that you have your wonderful daughter working with you, and she's just got licensed. How exciting is that?
That's pretty exciting. Well, yeah, she is not licensed at BCFSA yet, but in a month.
Details.
Leah,
details.
She just finished her
Just flow with me here a little bit.
She's licensed.
Thank you. And then you have another amazing assistant who is virtual.
She's a virtual assistant, yes, because she lives out of the area, which is great. She gets an early start on the day, which is great because I get an early start on the day. This morning I got up at 6, knowing that I'd be here. I didn't have evening hours as I normally would, so I got up at 6. I did my CMAs that I needed to do, and I was on the road with the dog dropped off, the cleaning lady in place, and a key cut by 8:15.
Right. And a big key component, we're going to talk about leadership in your team in a second. And then we have some other ladies that help you show your homes because of the new crazy market we're in, and you have to show it on a Saturday and Sunday.
So 2 part-time ladies that do that type of thing for me. A little bit of errands, but not personal, mainly business. I like to do my own errands. I like to do my own grocery shopping. I don't want them touching my bananas. I'll pick them out myself.
I know you like your bananas. That's great.
I do. Blueberries, technically, they're my favorite. So I have 2 part-time ladies that'll do the showing for me, and they're very carefully trained. And then I have my own designer for the staging that we do.
Right.
Yeah.
So I know as a leader, you've really, softened your edges. You've become a holistic leader, right? Mm-hmm. When I first met you, I remember the CMA you had, the 20 questions you asked. And I said we needed to round your corners a little bit, and we brought the good parts of you out as well, right? Because in this industry, we become tough and jaded and think we have to be a way, and the truth was we just got you back to you. So being a leader for these people, these 5 people, what do you think is the key to good leadership, to keeping everyone, like retaining them, keeping them happy, keeping them, what do you think is keeping them in reward?
Well, I believe that they all have great value, which is not mine. I bring my own skills to the table and they bring theirs. And that's what I ask of them, is I ask them to bring their what's uniquely them.
Their genius.
Their genius, yes. And so they do that. And what I try to be cognizant of is my genius is making sure that everyone doesn't work when they're not supposed to work. Keeping the team balanced on who's supposed to take responsibility clearly, so there's not the waste of overlap, because it's always strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat, right? So the opportunity is their genius. We're looking at the market. We have some strengths, but they can also be our weaknesses, like the rigidity.
Yep.
The details are awesome, but rigidity isn't cool.
Yeah. And
so part of it was becoming softer. It wasn't that. It was like this story of the jade statue, and the idea that the statue was always there. You needed to get rid of what was superfluous. So in that case, I would say that what I needed to do was shed some barriers and defenses that I had to be able to be more open and vulnerable with people, to show them that I really did care. Because of my core value of loyalty, I am a pit bull for people. They could be calling me up and I'm like, yeah, what size shovel do you want me to bring? Because I will be there. I will protect you. And so that's why I'm looking for that loyalty for those people. I want them to be happy. I want them to be able to contribute, and I want them to improve. I want them to know that we are a +1 house.
But we coach them. I coach them for goal setting at the beginning of the year. We do personal and business, and then throughout the year I meet them and we coach them. And
we
keep
do
them
a little
going along.
troubleshooting sometimes, a little triage. Yeah, for sure.
So communication. Let's talk about that, because I know that being in the job that you had in the logistics and growing and working in corporate world, a lot of people have a hard time with communicating the truth. A lot of people have a hard time communicating. What's that?
Oh my God, it's so true. And I was dealing with a big agent, a big agent, and his position was that I knew he wasn't talking to his client. He was only saying what they would or wouldn't do from his own opinion. And that is the thing that I really want to make sure that I avoid. I'm trying to help them and stay out of their own emotional cesspool of problems, that hijack that happens to them. I don't want to insert myself into knowing what's best for them.
That's right.
That's the danger.
You want to help them in the model of their world, get their results.
Exactly. By
being a great facilitator and listening deeply and giving them what they want instead of giving them what you think they want.
And that communication is exactly that. I need to be very cautious of not putting my story and paradigm on them.
Right.
My job is to excavate their true needs so that they can see them. Right. Sometimes they don't see them.
Well, you have processes and systems and questions and things that you do to pull that out, which is great as well.
We do that with pretty much everybody, and we will actually share a little bit about what people need. That she'll appreciate it if you're more direct. She'd like, we do everything. We put it in a portal so everybody knows. Text message, this person is lead, we're gonna do this, make sure you don't let the cat out, bring 3 don't let the cat out signs.
And what's the portal that you use?
We use Slack.
Right.
Yeah. And
so that's the communication center.
Look, somewhat 60-40. We're doing, we have like emergency. I say if you're bleeding, you text me. Do not text me unless you're on fire or bleeding.
Right.
And so then the majority of everything else goes in the Slack, and then we keep our documents in the Drive files, and then we have, everything is templated out, and it's all process driven. I'm looking forward to the next level, which would be more of a Boolean logic system, which is if not this, then that, and then you'll do this, and then you'll have more of a decision-making tree.
Yep.
And that's sort of what we're working on now.
Yeah, it's great. So I know that your team likes the communication because it's, we've worked through that and it's become very, very clean and clear. So knowing where you started with me, I think you were doing about
40
transactions, and now we're here, we've doubled.
40, I think we started at six a month. Like that was the
That was
first
the
year,
first
the goal.
That was
right?
our first goal.
Yeah, and I think that we hit 5 maybe a
Yeah.
month that year. And so yeah, after that it's,
And then we went up again a little bit, and then we went up a little. And we always set the goal so we stretch you a little bit so it's achievable.
yeah.
This year you crushed it.
Yeah, this year, well, I'm sure a lot of people crushed it as well. But the crush is relative.
Right.
So yeah, we did really well this year, but we also worked really, really hard.
Well, and you started out strong this year.
We did, right out of the gate.
Right, and
Yeah.
that's, so I want you to know is there's a lot of people out there right now not having such a great start, and they're hearing this, right? And it's the commitment to the systems, it's the hard work, right? And hard work does replace talent, but you have gifts as well, and everyone has them, and you kind of have to open up the box to find your own gifts, to acknowledge that you have them, not in an arrogant way, but in a humbly proud way, and know that your gifts are communication or humor or what it is that you bring to the table to create those connections, right? And to get the success that you want.
Yeah.
So when was that, what was like, from that moment when I met you to where you are now, when did you realize that there was something that was stopping you from moving to the next level, and what did you realize that was?
Well, sometimes to move on, you have to let go, right? And so it's very hard for people to let go of things once they've been attached to them for such a long time.
Actually, Cole, what's that theory called when they're attached? When you're so far in, you're gambling. I can't remember, but it's like when you're so far in being one way, you don't give up on it because you're so far in. You got to keep going.
Yeah, I know that. I know that philosophy. I don't remember what it's called either. But yeah, and it was like sometimes letting go is what you need to do, and it was the same process. I had to let go of rigidity in some decisions. I had been holding on of control for such a long time that there is no control.
What's the opposite of rigidity?
Flexibility, of course.
Well, of course, and that's
of course for me it's flexibility. It might be different for you.
And that's what's come out for you now is flexibility, right? So you've taken
more tools.
Yeah, you were rigid and you were stuck in the way of being rigid. So your first aha moment was I need to be more flexible. And then how did you start to break that rigidity? Because it's a pattern, it's a habit. Like how did you start to be more flexible?
Let me think. I think that what I did as well was also double down on the things that were serving me well. And I added more of that and less of the other. So I think how would I have done that? I think that it's a process of recognizing when you are in that place. I guess they talk about it in that there's a space between the feeling and the action. And when you have the feeling, then you need the clarity of breath and moment to choose a reaction instead of just having a reaction.
So the gap for me in my book, It's Not You, It's Your Brain, that is the story. So between the feeling and the action is the story that you create. So you need to breathe. Is that true? What do I want? What's the story I do want to create? I want to be flexible. I want to do this, and then move forward and do it there.
Yeah, the Taoists have another word for it. I don't remember what it is, but it's this. Yes, it's that space, and it's the space where you should, hardly the wrong word. It's the space where you can live. It's like the middle path, and it was sort of a bunch of timing things, right? There was some rigidity that was changing, which shifted other things, shifted relationships with the children for sure, and the accepting of what is and the lack of being able to control it, yet still having some influence on choices that I was making as well.
So let's put that into let's reframe that in a place where someone is out there working in the world today and they need to be on this path somewhere in that place and to be more flexible in their business. So you're a smart girl. You know a lot of realtors out there.
Yeah.
Where do they need to be more flexible to achieve their success?
Where would they need to be more flexible to achieve success? I would guess that since the only place that they have to work with is themselves, the flexibility that they'll be looking for is going to be entirely internal. And perhaps the opportunity is to look at something a different way if it's not serving you. I had a guy phone me up and ask for my help. And he had said something about how it was that I was fixed. And I'm not fixed. It's not a finite journey.
Mm-hmm.
And there was nothing wrong with me. It's just I had made choices based on my stories and they weren't serving me. So I had to change the story.
Right. So an internal flexibility that you've applied and learned to apply has been a massive part of your success.
Massive, because, and it's going to sound crazy. Change the way you think, you change the world.
Change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Wayne Dyer.
Yeah.
And you know, the beauty is there's no new thoughts. You and I are sitting there having this conversation, and you know, on the steps of the Parthenon, the philosophers are having the same kinds of conversations. And so, you know, what I like to say is we say it the way we need to say it to the people we need to speak to make the differences in their lives.
Yeah.
And you become the one of choice to your clients because you put yourself out there in the community in a vulnerable way, talking from core values and then delivering on those core values. And because of that, you're getting a huge response from referrals and repeat business and new business coming your way through TikTok and Instagram. And so, you know, let's talk about branding and the story and all that kind of
Sure.
stuff, because I know that you have a great brand, but you're in the middle of a rebrand.
I am, and just starting it. It's pretty exciting, actually. Just hired a new designer.
Right. So the old story was something, and now you want a new story. You want something that you want people to see something now.
Right, because I think what's different is now we're talking about preparing a legacy, if you will, right? And looking at a brand that is growing from this place of responsibility and becoming more, I don't know, pointed. The focus is narrowing a little bit, and so it's going to become a little bit more niche. And as it does that, I want to take the branding and tighten it up a little bit.
And is
right?
that niche you?
The niche is going to be the team,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I really, to go to the next level, I'm not saying 100 deals personally is capacity, but I don't have a desire to work like that anymore.
Mhm.
I could do it all day long if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm. So you have a bit of a long-term vision
I do.
where you want to rebrand. So basically you're now looking at it as an entrepreneur and not someone that's just self-employed.
Yes, exactly.
Because an entrepreneur can walk away from a business, sell a business, have that business continue to run without them, as long as they start the transition of the structure so that the society, the people, the community aren't dependent on getting Leah, but getting what Leah's team brings to the
about.
table.
Exactly, and I want them to have the same, I think the same magic sauce is that you will be intensely loyal, you'll be trustworthy and reliable, and with enough good information that people know that you know what you're talking about. And that's pretty magic sauce for people.
It is. Well, you know, what as a solution-focused coach with a positive outcome frame, my whole job is listening to people to give them what they want.
Yeah.
Right? And then you give them what they want, and they're surprisingly happy and find value in you instead of giving them what you think they want. Right? So when you build this team and you transition, you're thinking that, you know, your daughter can take over one day or whatever, but the brand is not what you do, but who you are and how you do it, right?
Right.
And so, you know, and the beauty of it is I have helped people sell their businesses, and the only ones that could were the ones that transitioned like this.
Right.
And, you know, and then your database is a valued system, and if you can build a business that someone can take over and still feel like they're getting that, that's a great exit strategy.
Mm-hmm. And I'm old. Well, no, what it is that I have to be responsible sometimes means to make sacrifice. The difference is that busy thing infers a sense of martyrdom. I'm so busy.
I'm so
I'm
tired.
And you know what? No, I promised somebody I'd have a CMA to them today by 12, and they're gonna have a goddamn CMA today by 12.
I work hard.
I work
and
hard,
I
and I want to be tired, because I say what I'm gonna do and I do it, and that is all you need to know.
Well, you see the passion.
That's
that
it.
comes
We're
behind
finished.
it,
We're
right?
finished.
Because that's the passion behind it.
For
right?
sure.
Right. So now we're seeing the key to your business. We're seeing what you do. We
It's
talk
not
about
talent.
that. No,
it's hard work.
It is hard work, and there is talent there though,
Sure.
because you know you and I do share this common interest in psychology.
Yes.
And we share this really common interest in understanding how people think, why they think what they think, and emotions and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's, the ability to be empathetic and to understand how people think and feel, right?
Let's talk about empathy. Yes, empathy, but not at the sacrifice of yourself. You need to be empathetic, but you don't become the doormat of...
You don't carry the baggage. You already got a backpack of rocks. You don't need to carry someone else's rocks.
Exactly. Oh,
right?
You sound like that's really difficult.
Yeah.
I really feel how much pain you're in right now.
I see you, I hear you, I understand you. That must be hard for you. If you acknowledge the emotions, they dissipate the emotions, they can focus better. Then you walk out and you go next, right? And you do a little bit of a cleanse because you do carry some stuff with you.
For sure, you have to if you care about people.
Well, if you care about people and you're an empath, you're going to carry some stuff with you. The trick is how to not own their stuff, and so that because a lot of times people feel
their choices, their stories.
Exactly, and you see them where they are. You take them where they want to go, and you take them there how they want to get there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Too many realtors are trying to get the client to think the way they think, and they're telling and they're talking to them, but they're not talking. They're talking at them, but not to them.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's the other thing that I run into is that not only do they think they know what's best, which causes them to get in their own way. I'm talking about the real estate agents, not the clients. But then when they go through the negotiation process, they're continuing to assert their own value and their own perception of what the client should be doing, and still negotiating a price, right?
Absolutely.
It's your house, your future, your way. If you're gonna walk off a cliff, I will tell you that might cause you to walk off a cliff.
Here's your
but
choices.
If you'd like to, well, that's the other thing I say too is there's two kinds of poison. Which would you prefer? Because everybody has to drink one. It's not all sunshine and snowflakes or whatever that's.
The blue or the red pill, Neo. Which one do you want?
Apparently, there's an orange one now. Crypto.
So let's go a little bit personal here. I don't know, my genius wants to bring it up, but I do remember seeing a picture of you where you are heavier than you are now with a cigarette in your hand and a glass of wine. And now you don't drink?
Don't drink. For over 5 years,
right?
I think. Yeah.
Huge shift in commitment. And you did this on your own.
Yeah.
And do you still smoke? Only one.
Oh, there was about the swear word to come out. No, I quit smoking long before that as well.
And I noticed that.
And I quit cold turkey that too. I just decided I wasn't going to do it anymore and it was over.
Right. And what I want, and then also, your physical health became important to you.
Yes.
And you've been working with Dennis for how long?
Longer than you.
Right. And Dennis is actually podcast number 3, I believe, because I had him on.
Yeah.
Way back in years ago.
It's so amazing to watch him. He's just I find him really inspiring.
Yeah.
And that's why we still work out together.
Yeah.
Right. And we have talks.
Yeah. You challenge. If you don't challenge Leah, it's no fun.
No. And man, we've been fighting lately, and it's really interesting because both of us are not super great fighters. And I found that in my marriage too, right? I wasn't a super great fighter because you shouldn't not fight. You should have someone you can contend with. But you need to fight with somebody well.
When your heart's in the game, like a marriage or children, it's a completely different fight. But when you're going to someone and you're going to have, what I like to say is it's not even a fight, it's a conversation. But if it's going to be a fight or we're going to debate, now I got to be prepared and I got to have my facts, right? I like to have conversations on a bit of a meta surface, bigger. Than the micro.
Detail.
Yeah, because I get caught up. When someone argues with me and they bring out the details, I shut up.
Right.
Because I don't have the capacity to play down at that level because that's not where I play. I play on a bigger playing field. I think of what do I really want? How can this be changed? How can we fix it? People don't want to go to solutions.
Where we started talking about the end and backing
always,
up to what.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I'm always at the end.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about that too, and I've been drawn to that conversation. Is where do you want to go, and then how would you get there if you got what you wanted? Go ahead.
Someone asked me. I was doing my team building seminar, and someone said how do you know? I don't want to do too much, or how do you know to do this, or I don't know how many ends I want to do because it's not all about money. And I said, what's your 5-year plan? How much money do you want? And how much is that per year? And how many deals is that? And how many team members do you need to get that? And what kind of team do you need to build to get that so you don't lose and become the big bank and still give great service and great value? Right? But you can't figure out the equation until you know what you want to accomplish. So here's this person trying to figure out how many deals do I want to do and how big of a team do I want to build? It's to what purpose? Like if you want to change the world and you want to change your community and you believe that you're amazing and that people need you, then you can do 1,000 deals based on people need me to change their lives.
Well, yeah, because the conversations have changed as well. They're just very short. We'll just hire you. How much? Okay. And it's simpler than going through the
Well, the landscape
process.
of the world has changed.
Yeah.
People are sitting on $1 million, like we're in Vancouver, if people are listening, and our market has just gone horrifically crazy. And it's like a house that was worth $800,000 is now worth 1.7.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fair?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I'm a 900,000 heir. And all of a sudden, you know, when I go to pay a commission or do something, I have a completely different aspect than I'm pinching pennies.
Right.
And also the game changes because it's monopoly money. It's not real money. It's like, to them, it's like, wow, I have it. And I'm really afraid that what's going to happen is
They'll be homeless?
yeah, lines of credit, huge boats and cars and lifestyle, and then all of a sudden it's going to catch up to them because really, right, it's monopoly money. And so, you know, where were we going with this?
I don't know. You went off on a tangent about fake money. Crypto?
No. Oh,
No.
whoa. F-bomb. Yeah. Minutia. I don't want to get caught up in the minutia.
Yeah.
It's a big picture. What do you want? Go back, create the equation, and then you'll get the answers only when you're attached. And if you want your core value outcome, your legacy, your North Star, it basically makes itself for you. The path makes itself.
Well, and I think the reality is there's a portion of people that never look at how big they could go. My current board at the house says you don't even know what you're capable of.
Well, here we are. This is a crazy, crazy thing. Here we are, 90 plus transactions, 2 semesters of courses, the family, the food, the cooking, the lifestyle, the working, the coach, everything, on a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, and I went away on vacation.
I know. Well,
Which was nice, actually.
yeah, we'll go back to that. I want to come back to that because
Yeah.
it was a single vacation by yourself,
Yeah.
right? Which is really, really awesome, and we can talk about that in a sec. But so what I'm saying is on a scale of 1 to 10, 1, you're not reaching your potential, and 10, you're reaching your maximum potential. Where were you at? Where are you at right now?
I still think I'm only a 7.
Right, a 7, right? And
I know.
right? And it's like, it's amazing that people, it's like when I tell people to breathe in as much as you can to the peak, hold it, and take a little bit more, and then exhale. It's like, wow, I didn't know there was room to breathe more. I stopped at my limit. And that limit, that glass ceiling, is created exactly by your mind and by your mindset. And the truth is, our +1 philosophy is, when I'm 80 and my marriage is at a 10 and I want to take it to an 11, I'm going to hold her cane when she walks through the door. You know, who knows?
Sounds like fun.
Who knows what that's going to look like? So let's go to this this vacation you recently had.
Sure.
So where did you go?
I went to Kauai, and I had booked the trip with my girlfriend Sarah. We have sort of arranged that we have one Christmas where the other spouse has the kids.
Right.
So this was my childless Christmas, and Sarah then and I would go away, as we always do, or usually do. And COVID, and she decided she didn't want to go,
Yeah.
which is totally fine.
Sure.
She's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Totally." And I didn't tell her I wasn't going to cancel the trip, so I went without her, and it was awesome. It was great because it was so weird to get up and not have to have a coordination of a conversation.
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
What do you want to do today?
I
want to go eat papayas. I'm allergic to papayas.
Exactly. I was just like, oh my God, I want to do this. Do I want to do that? So I went and I hiked Waimea Canyon by myself. And then I stopped and had tacos at the best taco bar. And then I stopped and picked up a loloki pie, which is passion fruit chiffon pie, and it's delicious. And I went grocery shopping, and I cooked in my unit. So I got up and they call it Hawaiian midnight. It's 10. It's great though. At 10 o'clock, everything shuts down, right? I binged Squid Games, which I never had time to watch. And so I would wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and every single night I slept from like 9 o'clock like a baby till at least 7:30 in the morning. And even on the last night, I was so tired. It was like, oh my God, I gotta go to bed. It's only 8 o'clock. And I'm like, whatever. I'm gonna go to bed at 8 o'clock, and I'll get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'll read, or I'll do something. And I slept until 7:30 again. I had 12 hours sleep.
So on that vacation,
Yeah.
traveling by yourself, any noise, any negative noise?
Not any.
Right?
Not at all.
How awesome is that?
Well, it was great because the phone was super quiet. I did have people watching my phone, like I actually call forwarded my phone.
Right.
But really, truly, I went snorkeling on Christmas Day. This was the most amazing story. My girlfriend, another girlfriend was there. She saw on my Instagram that I was in Hawaii, so she said, hey, I've got a snorkel thing. Do you want it? I'm leaving tomorrow. And I'm like, sure. So I drive out to Poipu. I pick it up from her, and I go back to my unit. The next morning I get up, and I met this other family that says they've got this, all they've been doing for the 20 years they've been married is coming back to Kauai and looking at beaches that other people don't go to. So they gave me a list of places to go. So first I grab the snorkel and I go out to this crazy beach out in Waimea again, off the little private area, and there's nobody there. And it's 4 feet deep, which is just my speed. It's on a black lava break, and so it's just sandy bottom. It's like a swimming in an aquarium.
Wow.
With nobody there. So grabbed that, great, got in my car, drove to Poipu, and at Poipu there's and I wanted to just do the coastline, like drive through, but as I'm driving along I remember this Turtle Beach the kids and I went to a couple years ago, and the problem with that is there's no parking. There's 5 spots. 5. And I was pulling down the street and there was a spot and I pulled right in, and the guy goes, wow, you got lucky. And I'm like, wow, I sure did. And so I got my mask and I walked down to the beach and I put my feet in. I'm a bit of a wussy and I'm like, oh, it's so cold. And my brain went, if you want to see a turtle, you're going to have to get in the water.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm like, ugh. Even myself, I'm like, no, I think I'll go for ice cream. But I decided, okay, fine, I'll get in, and I put the thing on, and I dived into the water, dived, whatever, and I get in the water, and right there, he's half the size of this table. Me and this huge turtle. I haven't even gotten 4 feet off the beach. Nobody else was there, because they swim in little paths looking for these turtles. And I'm just like right there over top of him, and it's just him and me, and I'm breathing, and I'm floating, and there's this huge turtle, and it's Christmas Eve, and I'm like, holy crap, am I the luckiest woman in the world?
And it turned its head and gave you some wisdom. No?
Yes.
Is that not where we're going?
It did. It said, never smoke again. Smoking is bad, kids. No, it just ate and floated with me. We were just in time.
So there's something to be said, noticing your journey, how there was this place where you're able to be present and not in the past, not in the future, but present there. How does that play in your life today? Do you find yourself in a future negative outcome worrying? Like, I know that, safety is a big thing, and having enough money, being on your own, and all the stories that go there.
Well, because my fear place was always that I would never be able to make it,
Right.
make it never being defined,
Right.
and that I would live in a
Under
cardboard box
under the
the
bridge.
bridge. I mean, like, that's a nice refrigerator box. Maybe I should save it in case I never make money again. But that feeling of not making money had me so scared that I watched every penny I ever made.
Right.
And it came from supply chain too, and it also came from my family was really poor.
And
when
so
I
how
grew
hard
up.
was it to invest in your business and do marketing
Oh,
and just listeds and
Every
just sold
every
and
bit of money
mailers?
was just like, oh my God, is this the one that's going to tip the boat? Can I pay taxes right now? And really, truly, it still shocks me to this day when I go and I buy organic raspberries or the big tree ripened mango at the store for $7.99, and I'm like, I don't even flinch. I'm just like, because now I'm doing things. And this is what's really changed. It's the philosophy about the people who buy the prescriptions for their dogs,
Right.
and they always give the prescription to the dog. But the research shows that if you need a prescription, you might get it filled. That would be 30% of all people that need the prescription. The other 30 would take it, but not for the whole course or forget.
Right.
And then the other 30 might take it wholly. So I just decided I was going to
And
make
for the
my
dog,
the dog, you always give the prescription 100% every time you change your
100%.
schedule to get home to make sure that dog gets the pill on
when
time.
taking care of others, we take better care of others than we do ourselves.
Right. And so that stuff about fulfilling your own cup and
Filling your own love
self-care
cup
and blah, blah, blah is not meaningful to me, except to know now that I am the only person who will care for me and myself in my journey of life. And I would like to do this with good health, sound mind into the future. I figure that I can live a lot longer if I eat well, sleep well, rest well, exercise well, and live a life of social and responsible moral value.
Right, because when we have a responsibility, we have fulfillment, it gives our life meaning.
Responsibility is life.
It is, and discipline is the key to freedom.
And I feel a song coming on.
And freedom,
Discipline equals freedom. Absolutely.
What I like to say is freedom from the complicated mind. So discipline in your morning routines, discipline in doing your dailies, discipline in the things that you schedule that take care of your mental health are the things that will free you from the mental health. And it's hard to do because nobody believes that just being disciplined in gratitude or appreciation or setting something to look forward to at the end of the day or just being in that mindset is going to make a difference. So they don't try it, they don't start. And the truth is, I don't believe in doing it for 30 days to change a habit. I do it for my whole life. I've done it for 18 years.
Yeah, I don't know that the 30 days thing really works.
I don't believe
I think that's like the 10,000 rule. It's something somebody made up because they ripped a little piece of data out of a study and they made it mean something.
My belief is that when you see your blind spot, once you see it, you can't do it again.
You can't unsee it.
You can't unsee it.
It was the same with smoking. When I decided that the name that I called myself, smoker, did not apply to me anymore, I quit smoking and I never looked back. It was the same with the alcohol. I just decided it wasn't for me. It was not serving my life.
Right.
I couldn't be responsible as I wanted to be, so I quit. I didn't go to AA, I didn't go to counseling, I didn't do any of those things. I don't even think I started counseling again until well after you and I were together.
Well, when I introduced you to Gloria, which is episode 12, I believe, Gloria Carter, 13, episode 13. That's Gloria, my lifelong, my family counselor.
Your counselor.
That was your counselor.
That was my counselor. And now I've even put some of my friends' kids to her, and they love her.
I think between me and you,
we keep her employed.
Yeah. It's like, I want an appointment. No, Leah's booked. No, I'm just kidding. So.
Well, no, and I haven't seen her in probably a year or so, but the reality for me
Glow,
is Dr. Glow. Dr. Glow is the kind of environment that you go into and you feel wholly accepted for who you are, as flawful as you are, as small-minded as you are. She always has space to let you see yourself. Like you said, the blind spot too.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I just need to go in and have a tune-up. I have to get the things out of my head, which is why I like our time together. I get them out of my head, or when I get them out of my mouth and out of my head, then I can index them in my head in a way that makes sense.
Well,
and I can carry on.
And when sometimes you come in and I notice that you're going in
Below
the wrong direction, let's talk about the noise of the world and these groups and.
Okay.
Right?
Do you want to go there?
Well, we'll go somewhere, but we won't go fully deep. We won't mention any names. We will just talk about
in generality
the psychological space that it takes up and how it impacts our lives. Let's do that.
Let's do that. Sure.
Okay.
Well, we could go into the details, but
So,
it's not important.
What we call our echo chambers. People can have an opinion, go to an echo chamber, right? But when they go to a place and there's this conversation and the trolls show up and then people start getting into arguments. Yeah.
Well, and I do that, and I know that I do it, and I know people have seen me do it. So here's my challenge with it. I feel that because one of my core values is safety and security, it's safety and security for people I don't know. I want to protect everybody.
Yeah.
I want to keep you safe.
So you project.
So I project, and I project that it's important that we do certain things so that we can protect people who can't. And I know the science isn't perfect because people aren't perfect and governments aren't perfect. And yet I don't believe in some of the other. See, now we're starting. I was just nearly going down that path.
Right.
But the reason I bring it up is not only because I feel like I practice saying what I think and applying boundaries, as well as giving people information they may not already have. And I have walked away from people and said, well, you don't have to believe me. But if you're going to use that, I have a right to say.
Well, we talked about that a little bit because if it's a conversation, I'm not trying to sway you to think the way I think.
Exactly. I'm not trying to talk you into taking the offer.
And if we're two adults and we're having a conversation, then you're able to speak your opinion and I'm able to speak mine. No microaggressions. Don't get angry. Don't just like, wow, you think that. Why do you think that? Like,
no
what's that all about?
circular arguments, right?
And the circular arguments are redundant because what people don't realize is what they're fighting is themselves in the argument. And if they understood that they're just trying to be seen, heard, loved, and respected by the wrong people, they would then have that space open for themselves to do the deep dive, to go into a place of reading a book self-help or watching a podcast that's going to change your life, or I just find it's really noisy, and I hate the fucking noise, to be honest with you.
You
And
said fuck twice now.
Yeah. And when you come in here and I notice that you're going down that rabbit hole again, I have to pull you back out because
Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, let's put our energy where it's going to be most effective, which is our life, our clients, our business, and that is what we call laser focused on the right things, right?
Yeah.
Because honestly, what I'd like to say is watching you grow has been awesome. The change when we met. Yeah, well, I'm not going to puff it up that much there, Buttercup. So what I am going to say is, I think that the more you got back to you is the reason that your success grew.
For sure.
And
it was the cleaving off of the unnecessary.
Right. And the fact is there's more than enough business when the thought is I need to be a brown cow so people will pick me, and the truth is the black and white cow in a field of 100 is the one I'm interested in, and I got to stand out, and the best way to stand out is to be me.
Well, absolutely. And there are agents that I would look at and I'm like, I would never work with that person, and that's great because somebody else will work with
absolutely.
them. And when I meet those clients and they go, oh, we decided to work with blah, 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 and I'm like, well, good for you. She's awesome. Enjoy the ride.
Right.
Because it's not my ride. You don't have to like me. It would be nice if you liked me, but not everybody will. I'm not ice cream. I can't make everybody happy.
Right. And right, that there's enough business for everyone out there. There's not this scarcity of I need to get everybody, and if I don't get them, right? We don't lose the business. We earn the business.
Yeah.
If we lost it, we had it. We don't have it. And, the team you're building now is going to be amazing. Not just because your volume may or may not go up. I think the quality of service and the fact that your lovely daughter is going to be able to get a career with a mentor like yourself and create that security for herself is going to be an amazing life.
And I'm so surprised how excited she is about it. Like I never saw real estate for her. And when she came to work with me last year, I think we were both surprised at how much she loved it. I think what she remembered about it was me working 2 jobs and never being around.
She had a story. She created a story that wasn't true.
And I don't know, I'm only guessing maybe that's what it was, because I know my eldest daughter really felt the loss of me being home.
Sure.
And I feel the loss of me being home. So maybe I'm playing a little catch up, but I don't care. Here I am. This is all I have to work with is now. I can't change that. It can't be any different. And the other part,
we got to own the past. Otherwise, it'll drive the bus into the wall of your future, man. Like you got to own the past. It happened. It's real. I acknowledge it.
Not super proud of it.
Right, and I can't unlearn that. Yeah. I know that. So what am I going to do with it?
And on the good side, there's things that you can always look on the good side, and that's the thing that I believe is probably the most important thing. I never lose hope. I never ever lose hope. There is always hope. I never get desperate that way. And with the girls, they had to go through this experience to be the people that they are, and I wouldn't change them for the world, which means another reason why I must accept where I came from, because they are perfect to me just the way they are.
Yeah.
And their dad and I will always be the family. We are a family, for better or for worse, no matter what happens, we're always going to be together. And so he always will have space in my life, because I could not dislike him, because he's part of who my children are.
Well,
period.
What I like to say is you'll always have a great relationship with your children when you're the adult. And you bite your tongue and you do what's right, even though you want to have an argument or whatever, because what serves us at the end of the day is the relationship.
Right. Keep an eye on what you want, not what you don't, and go in the direction of that.
Play the big game.
Play the big game.
Play the big game, right? And honestly, your success is based on a big game of retirement and all that great stuff.
I have plans.
Right.
I got plans, big plans.
Right. And you're going to make them happen, which is great. So we're going to wrap it up now. So I think we're around 50, 55 minutes, something like that.
I didn't see the chicken wing.
Chicken wings. There
Thank
they are.
you. Yeah, we're done. That's a wrap.
So let's just wrap it up here real quick. Like I was saying, the evolution of who you were to where you are was actually an evolution in reverse, getting back to who you've always been.
That's sort of the way I look at
right?
it. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Age does this for us.
That's the best part.
Right.
It is. It's the best part of getting old.
And isn't it part of us, we want our children to get there faster than us, and so we want them to know what we're knowing, and we want to tell them, and then we can't wait. They got to go through the process of aging.
I'm watching them go through it now. They're in their mid-20s, and I'm loving it. I'm loving watching them learn. I am loving getting a text message that asks me, how do you make spaghetti bolognese? It's just, you made that thing, Mom. What's that thing? And I'm like, I don't know. You're going to have to give me a little bit more to work with.
Yeah.
But I love that. And I love watching them. And I'm super excited to see what they both do, right?
So everyone out there, invest in yourself.
Spend the time, spend the money.
Spend the time.
It's all you have.
Right.
It's all you have.
And work hard.
And work hard. Be responsible. Say what you're going to do and then do it. And be nice to the other realtors. Well, or I will...
And the beauty is everyone has a story. Let them have their story. You're not going to change their story.
Absolutely.
If you have a conversation, you might contribute to their genius and maybe to their wisdom down the road. Who knows? But don't force your agenda down someone's throat. Just have open conversations, right? And be that vessel or that facilitator of that conversation. Be responsible.
Let people have their own experience.
Right.
You are not the person who gets to decide how their experience should be. And when you filter your story on top, overlay that on somebody else, they might not like it.
No, and what happens is you say, I do everything she does, but I don't have the results in my business. No, you don't. You don't do everything she does. You might do the practical things that she does in her
4K
business.
video.
Right, but you're not doing the emotional things that makes her strong in her practice. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
You bet. Take care.
Thank you for watching this episode of Master Your Genius. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. See you next time.